Yes, because most car bodies are galvanized steel. And what the module does is to effectively increase the effectiveness of the zinc galvanizing and protecting the underlying steel. So that's why it's a valid product. It's the induction of a AC current into the surface of the steel. And it's that AC current that prevents the passivation of the zinc and hence allows the zinc to continue to protect the steel. According to the fundamental laws of physics, once you induce the current in one part of the body, that current spreads over the entire surface area. So in the case of the electromagnetic protection system, you're inducing the current at the very point where it is needed, not from some anode that's located at some arbitrary point on the surface. Well, I'm a scientist, and so I'm skeptical of everything except death and taxes. Okay, I know both of those occur, but when I first looked at my first reaction to when Adam Finacki called me was, no, if this is a cathodic protection system, just forget it. Okay, not interested. And he said, no, he said, it's not a cathodic protection system. So he sent me some material, and I looked at this very carefully, and I concluded that this was different than cathodic protection, okay? And it was something that was not known in corrosion science up to that point, or at least not known to me. As more I got involved with this, it became obvious to me that this was something fundamentally, and I stress the word fundamentally, different than cathodic protection. All right, well, I'm trained to evaluate scientific evidence. If I had any doubts about the veracity of this technique, I would not be sitting here. Okay, I'd be off doing something else. So the fact that I'm sitting here, is proof that I'm convinced personally that this has merit in a scientific sense. It doesn't work at all. Scientifically, it's impossible to work. And I demonstrated that in the laboratory. The classical application of DC impressed current protection systems, cathodic protection systems, are pipelines and underground tanks, both of which are buried in a conducting medium, the soil. It's an ionically conducting medium, so you can project the current over a sizable distance, provided there's sufficient moisture in the soil. Okay? If you go to very dry soils, then it becomes much more problematic. Okay? Also ship's hulls, ship in seawater, it's in a conductive medium. Okay? An automobile, unless it's sitting at the bottom of the sea, is not in a conductive medium. Cathodic protection is not applicable to automobiles for the simple reason that the automobile is not in a conductive medium. It's as simple as that. It won't work, nothing will work if you apply DC voltage. And it's an oxymoron to say that it's operating on a DC pulse. There is no such thing as a DC pulse. Okay, you're either in the frequency domain or you're in the time domain, constant time domain. Well, non-cathodic protection, in the form that is usually referred to, has been around about perhaps 20 years since it was invented by Mike Lewis. And it's to be distinguished from cathodic protection. That is the important thing. That's the principal difference between what the final coat does and what cathodic protection. I mean, it was a serendipitous observation. I mean, he's an expert in electromagnetics, okay? And so, he understood the induction of the electromagnetic currents, and he made an outstanding observation that it appeared to affect corrosion, okay? Which is not an obvious link, okay? And so we've now carried out a lot of experiments in his laboratory, and sure enough, it works, and it works for now reasons that we understand. This whole program probably would not have been successful without the two fields of science being represented. Okay, and that's what happens sometimes. People in different fields suddenly link up, and we call that interdisciplinary work. So the great discoveries in science now tend to be in between the various classical disciplines. Well, I'm a scientist, so if they've got claims, they should show me their claims and show the evidence behind them, and I'll make my own opinion as to whether they're legitimate or not. But because they say something is demonstrated doesn't make it so, not at least in a scientific sense. Yes, I explored a DC cathodic protection system which didn't work. I explored that in my laboratory. Okay, it didn't work. And the reason why it didn't work is well understood, that you have to have an electrolyte return path for the current, and if you don't have a sufficiently low resistivity path, it doesn't work. You can't project the potential over any given, any sizable distance. Now, I don't know of any other technologies that do what final coat does, because a final coat pattern covers anything that involves the electromagnetic induction of current into the surface.